Morihito Otogi is just an average stone-faced high schooler ogre whose life suddenly takes a 180-degree turn when his childhood friend Nico, a cutesy overpowered witch, moves in with him, and he is tasked with being her bodyguard. Now, he's stuck living under the same roof with her spells, chaos, and very questionable choices. The story begins with Nico saying goodbye to Morihito while reaching out her hand toward him. With tears in her eyes, she thanks him for always protecting her and promises she's going to train really hard and become an incredible witch. Well, at least she's trying to be a witch and not a full-time drama queen. A few years later, Morihito finds himself cornered by a bunch of losers looking to settle a score, as they were teasing a boy. He butts in and saves him. Back to the present, they start to attack him, and Morihito effortlessly dodges their swings. But then he decides to take a hit just to make them back off. Well, nothing teaches humility like letting idiots think they've won. When he finally makes it home, his dad sees his bruises and asks why he didn't just fight back. He replies that if he did, they would have just ended up in really bad shape. Morihito then reminds his dad of his childhood, when he injured a kid badly. Since then, he has kept on controlling his strength so as not to cause any trouble. His dad then casually asks him if he remembers Nico, and he immediately replies, Nico the witch, the one who gave him enough emotional scars to fill an entire therapy session. Then a wave of trauma floods back, reminding him of everything that happened in his childhood. His dad says that she's finished her training and is actually moving in to stay with him while he is away for some urgent work. He then explains that she wants Morihito as her familiar, which is familiars are usually animals. However, in the past, some familiars absorbed enough magic to take on human form. As ox and tiger familiars married humans and had children, they became known as the ogres. This is how the ogre clans come from the long line of familiars. So basically, his great-great-grandpa was a himbo with horns. But then Morihito jumps in, saying that he already knows about their roots. But the whole thing is so outdated, and nobody really does a master-servant relationship anymore. After their breakfast, Morihito is just hanging out in his living room, lost in thought about their childhood. He can't help but wonder how much she has changed and grown since then. Out of nowhere, someone crashes into his living room window. He's stunned, thinking a bold robber just barged into his place. But then he realizes it's Nico, his childhood friend. Nico says she kind of lost her balance while flying, as it's been a while, so she lost control. Then she stands up and greets Morihito. She tells him she kept her promise to meet again and wonders if he thinks she's become an amazing witch. Morihito cuts in with a stoic face, saying they should clean the room first. Morihito tells her that he didn't expect her to start trouble right when she arrived, even though he was sort of ready for it. Morihito then tells her she's probably tired, so she should sit down and eat some cookies that he baked this morning. While she's eating the handmade cookies, she is surprised by how he turned out to be the perfect husband material, from looks to his reliability. She can't help but wonder if there's a little spark between them, especially since they'll be living under the same roof for a while and anything can happen between the two of them. She then turns completely red, thinking she has a chance with him. She starts to get deluded and dreams as if Morihito has any cultural thoughts about her. Out of the blue, Morihito calls up Nico, sounding like he's about to spill his feelings. But he tells her that although it all happened so fast, he hopes that they can work things out from there on. Nico says she feels bad for dropping him with the responsibility of a bodyguard on him out of the blue. But it is all her mom's decision and not hers. When Morihito is done with the cleaning, Nico, the deluded tryhard, tells him that she can fix the window with her magic. Morihito raises an eyebrow in suspicion and asks if it is real, and she replies with a smug expression as if he's forgotten who she is. Then she tells him he needs to bring his most valuable possession to her as a medium to complete the spell. Poor Morihito brings his favorite vintage mug to her, not knowing her intentions. She then fixes the window glass with her magic witch recovery, surprising Morihito for a moment, but ends up breaking his mug in the process as a sacrifice, which totally shocks Morihito. Nico explains that this magic only works on the feelings and care people have for their items. Morihito cries out, saying that she should have told him that first and asks what's her deal with being so proud of it. She quickly apologizes and says that she should have used one of her own things, mentioning that she still relies on Morihito like she did in her childhood. Morihito completely brushes it off, telling her that magic is really great as she fixed the window, and that she has grown so much that he almost doesn't recognize her. Nico gets absolutely smitten by his charm and starts showing off by bragging about all the magic spells she knows. To impress him, she decides to show off a spell that can turn things completely flat like paper. She asks if he's got anything he wants her to try it on, reassuring him that it's totally safe and everything will go back to normal afterward. Morihito totally denies it after seeing what happened to his mug. Not finding anything, she decides to cast the spell on herself to show him how safe it is. And suddenly, she turns into a flat piece of paper. She then explains that she's feeling really nauseous. Out of nowhere, a strong gust of wind sweeps her out of the house. Morihito cannot believe that Nico is still the careless kid she used to be. Morihito tries to catch up to her while shouting her name. Just as he's about to grab her, she spins around him and gets swept up even higher, crashing into the window of some old man's house, scaring the poor guy. She then lands in the tiny crack between the two neighboring house walls. Morihito finally manages to catch up with her, but he has no idea how to get her out. He asks if she has any spells to help herself get out of there. Nico says she doesn't have anything like that. Morihito has this wild idea. Maybe he could just grab a vacuum cleaner and use it to suck her out. But Nico explains that the spell is going to wear off soon, and she will actually become flat forever if that happens. As Morihito panics, suddenly someone yells from behind him. As he turns around, of all people, he finds that it's his bully named Momota, whom he still can't help but think of as Kelpfish. Momota shouts if he's there for payback since he lives there. Morihito says he really needs to borrow the vacuum cleaner ASAP and is even ready to bow down for it. The brain-dead moron Momota replies that if he wants to fight him, and mocks him saying that he just can't fight back. Morihito thinks back to his childhood memories, where he remembers how his dad always had to listen to complaints from Momota's dad. Eventually, Morihito just stopped standing up for himself, and he would just get beaten up while trying to protect Nico from those guys. It really made him wonder back then and question his dad why he had this crazy power, but couldn't seem to use it to help anyone. His dad told him that if he wanted, he could train to get a handle on his powers. He stressed that even if he never needs to use that strength, just having it can make him a stronger person inside. Inspired by his dad's words, Morihito decided to start training, not just to level up his skills, but to protect the people he cares about. After all, he also remembered Nico's promise to learn healing magic to fix up his wounds so that she could help him. Back to the present, Morihito calms himself down and makes his determination stronger. Since he has Nico's magic, it is the perfect time to use his power and blast the walls. He then starts emitting a powerful aura, and glancing at his aura, Momota agrees to hand him over the vacuum cleaner. Realizing he is out of time, Morihito punches straight through the wall and shatters it. Then he quickly grabs Nico's hand and pulls her out of the wall crack. Her spell comes off right after, and she turns into a human again. Nico gets really happy and hugs Morihito. The moron Momota suddenly recognizes her as Nico from their childhood, to which Nico says if he's their childhood bully Kelpfish. The half-wit bully goes crazy when he hears the nickname and demands that they fix the wall Morihito destroyed. Morihito asks Nico to use magic recovery. Nico asks if there is anything nearby that is important to someone, and Morihito replies that there is indeed something, Momota's hair, as it is more important to him than his life itself. Nico steps in with her magic and quickly repairs the wall while sacrificing Momota's hair in the process, leaving him completely bald and confused. Morihito can't help but mock him and thanks him for donating his hair to patch things up. While walking back home, Nico turns to Morihito and asks if it's cool to have sacrificed the bully's hair to settle things. Morihito replies that it's alright as they're even now, making Nico smile. Understanding that the issues are resolved, Nico suddenly stops and asks Morihito for a favor, leaving Morihito confused. The next moment, she's out shopping and Mori's carrying all the bags. He asks her if she really needs all this stuff, even though she's starting a new life, and mentions that his arms are about to give up. She just laughs it off, saying he's an ogre, so carrying the bag should be a breeze for him. But suddenly, she gets an idea. Why not try out a magic spell to lighten the load? So she casts super light magic on the bags. Morihito is totally taken by surprise at how easy it suddenly feels to carry the bags. Morihito praises her magic for being useful, which makes her very happy. Then Morihito warns Nico that if she plans on announcing to everyone that she is a witch, it may attract all sorts of trouble for her and can also put her life in danger. She asks him if he wants her to stay locked up in the house and reminds him that witches are supposed to use their magic to help others. as it's an ironclad rule for them. She explains that their magical abilities grow when they help people, but if they stay isolated, it can lead them down the path of dark magic. Nico explains that although it might be a burden on Morihito, it's also an important period for her to complete her training, as she dreams of becoming a wonderful witch who can help everyone. Listening to this, Morihito realizes that Nico has a dream, and for that to happen, she needs to interact with as many people as she can to grow her magic. He agrees to help her achieve her dream of becoming a grand witch and promises to protect her from any dangers that may befall her, as it is his duty as her familiar. Hearing his words, Nico starts to zone out, daydreaming about what it would be like when they start dating. She thinks about how things would get intense because he's a serious guy and imagines him sending her long, heartfelt text messages. Just then, Morihito yells out for fire. Nico snaps out of her daydream to see that a building has actually caught fire, with a woman trapped inside calling for help. As she starts gearing up to fly and rescue her, Morihito quickly intervenes, warning her that using magic in public with so many people around is way too risky, and asks her how she would even rescue someone while flying. Despite his warning, she is determined to help the woman, insisting that magic is meant to help people. Hearing her determination, Morihito decides to join her. They both fly over to the woman and ask if anyone else is stuck up there. She replies that she's all alone, and Morihito quickly catches her. But Nico's magic broom is unable to hold 3 people at once, and they start to fall suddenly. In that moment of panic, Morihito tells Nico to cast the super light spell on him to lighten the load. Nico casts the super light spell on him, just in the nick of time to save them all. Suddenly, things take a turn as Morihito starts acting all strange. It turns out the magic spell has a quirky side effect. It's not just about making someone physically lighter. It also makes their personality lighter, making them act a bit lighter and more carefree. Suddenly, Morihito starts flirting with the woman, asking for her number. The woman asks Nico about their situation and how they are able to fly. Morihito just replies that Nico is a witch, and he's an ogre, leaving the woman completely shocked. It's still too heavy for Nico's broom to support 3 people, and they are dropping down pretty quickly. Morihito tells Nico to land them at the park below, but Nico decides to use the same spell on herself as well, which helps them all land smoothly in the park. As Nico and Morihito celebrate their landing, the woman thanks them for saving her life. She's curious about who they are and shocked at how cheerful they seem. Nico then suddenly remembers that they left their stuff back on the street, and with a silly pose they say goodbye. Once they get home, both of them wonder why all their stuff feels way heavier than before. Nico then checks her magic book and discovers that there is a side effect. When the magic wears off, the objects become heavier. Hearing this, Morihito freaks out, crashing to the ground and mentioning that he feels like his body has turned to lead. At the same time, Nico also collapses down, feeling the impact of the side effect as well. After they recover from the side effects, Morihito can't shake off the craziness of the day. He thinks back to everything that has happened, breaking the window, turning into a flat piece of paper, falling into the crack, and rescuing someone from a fire. Both of them start feeling a bit down and begin talking about their day, sharing their thoughts and frustrations. After the day ends, Nico changes into her pajamas and gives Morihito a little bow to show him her undergrown melons, acting like they're newlyweds. She mentions that even though she's new to all this, she really hopes Morihito will take care of her for a long time, as their new life begins tomorrow. Morihito gets all flustered and tells her to stop saying weird stuff while sitting on the futon and insists she go to sleep in her own room and not with him. Nico stands up with a smile and tells Morihito how grateful she is for his help, mentioning how much effort he must have put into controlling his ogre strength. She praises him, saying that he must have really trained very hard, and Morihito agrees to it. Then he thinks back about the prophecy his dad had warned him about in the morning. Something about a disaster approaching over Nico within a year, and only a familiar can save her. It was a prophecy made by Nico's mother, who is an oracle. With that in mind, he focuses on his mission to keep Nico safe from anything that comes her way. While he's lost in his thoughts, Nico says in her mind that she loves him and playfully makes a heart shape with her hands. While Morihito mentions that not only does he need to keep her away from danger, he will also have to handle the troubles created by Nico herself. Nico insists on what he just said, but he brushes it off, saying it's nothing. And that's the end of the video. Please comment and let me know if you want a recap of the next episode of this anime. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.